at Cadwell Park in the heart of Lincolnshire, a track where talent outweighs power. It's the penultimate round. This is ThundersportGB.
Welcome to Cadwell Park in Lincolnshire. It's the penultimate round of the ThundersportGB Championships. And we've got some cracking racing in store for you here. And it's an hour-long programme on Motors TV. Starting off with the Morello Services GP1. We'll bring you Golden Era Superbikes, the Dudson Motorsport Super Twins and Mini Twins, and of course, rounding up with the RLR Motorsport 600 Sportsman Elite. First up, though, onto the grid, the Morello Services GP1 class. And with just a couple of races to go until the end of the season, this championship still wide open. Two classes in one, the GP1s and the Superstock Thousands. And championship leader Peter Baker is out on the grid, I can tell you. There he is, number 4, the blue and white Suzuki on the second row. Unfortunately broke his collarbone after an incident at Anglesey, but he is back on the grid and away we go racing. And number 15, it looks like the dark blue and white machine of Dan Neen. Dan back with us. He entered around at Donington Park earlier on in the season, of course. Winner of the Manx GP and British Superbike competitor last year, no less. And as they come out of Charlie's and over the hill on the Park Straight, it is Dan Neen, number 15, that leads from Mike Dickinson. Mike having an Indian summer, I think you could say, in this championship. Really come on song. Had a good time, and he takes the lead into Chris Curve. That's a fast pace of the circuit here at Cadwell to be taking the lead. This GP1 class for power bike machines and Superstock Thousands. Mike Dickinson is out there on the BMW. Oh, a GP1 machine, and we've got a faller already on this opening lap, and I think that looks like number 83, Gavin Littlewood, that's fallen at the gooseneck. Hopefully he's up and okay. But out of the chicane and down towards the mountain, it is Dickinson that leads this one. Number 80, I think, is in third place there. That's Craig Beggs, a rider that has come over, rider from Crewe, and another rider that's come from British Championship, effectively. There's number 177, John Blundell, a Superstock rider, just tucked in behind Peter Baker. And Baker just needs to get as many points as he can. Second place in the championship is Ian Mackman. He's a couple of places behind Blundell. And current leader, Mike Dickinson, number 19. Third in the championship, still in with a shout. 25 points here would come in very, very handy. There he is, number 19, the rider currently residing in Doncaster on the AL Joinery Michelin BMW. And there is number 21. That's Chris Barnes, Superstock rider, enjoying some time ahead of Pete Baker there, the championship leader. Further back, we see a shot there of Dan Brady, number 31. Having a good battle with Colin Thompson. Phil Crow, incidentally, we've got a stationary yellow flag there. Phil Crow, a rider that you could say was a title challenger at the start of the season. He's been out for some time, actually, since a crash at Snetterton. He was back for the start of this weekend, put it on pole, but then re-injured the wrist that he broke at Snetterton and can't compete. So it's his championship well and truly over. There is Craig Beggs in third and Alex Heaton on the Ducati in fourth place. What an end to the season he is having on that stock Ducati. And, well, he's in with a shout of the Superstock title, as well as getting himself in the top 3 overall. A bit of a tank slapper as they come out of Barn and down the start-finish straight. But it's still Dickinson that leads this one. A championship that has entertained us for many years at ThundersportGB. And once more, we pan back to number 41 there, Colin Thompson, trying to get one of the last points. Back to the front we go, though. Number 19, Mike Dickinson, ahead of Neen, Beggs, Alex Heaton, and there the fluorescent yellow and white machine, Chris Barnes, number 21. And then Pete Baker on the blue and white Morello Services Suzuki. Peter came into this race with sort of well, I think it's almost a 50-point lead, so he's reasonably comfortable, but he won't be encouraged to see that Dickinson is up ahead. What a move that was from Alex Heaton there. Really got some great drive out of Mansfield and just tucked it around the outside, which gave him the inside line into the chicane here at the mountain. Into Hall Bends we come. It is Dickinson that leads from Dan Neen. Third place now then for Alex Heaton. Alex, so far this season, his best finish outright has been third place. Can he do better here as they come across the line? Mike Dickinson currently lapping in the late 132s. Dan Neen slightly quicker that time than Dickinson, but neither of them as quick as Alex Heaton. Further back there, number 5, a man that we see regularly in the Thundersport paddock since 2008, Marty Lennon. Good to see Marty out there. Currently, Marty just outside the top 10. He's in 12th place, ahead of Bill Callister and behind Ross Connolly. But back to the front we go, around Chris Curve, and Alex Heaton really is pressing. He's decking the bike out there. There is number 3 and number 30. Number 3, Adrian Clark, and number 30, Ian Mackman. This is uncharacteristic from Ian. You expect to see him right at the sharp end. And there is number 96, Callum O'Shea, currently in 13th place ahead of Dan Brady and Jimmy Nixon, trying to get as many points as possible. And that lead of Mike Dickinson's looks like it might have just been cut a little. There you see second place man, number 15, Dan Neen, the 25-year-old from the Isle of Man. He finished 4th in the 2009 Metzler National Superstock 600 Championship. So it's a decent rider sandwiched in between the two Thundersport regulars. There's Barnes again, just trying all he can to hang on to this front gaggle, but it's not a bad effort here from Chris Barnes, looking to try and finish in the top 3 in the championship overall in the Superstocks. And that series, well, before the start of this race, Ben Scranage leads overall ahead of Heaton. Barnes in 3rd, Blundell 4th, with Robinson in 5th place. There's Ian Mackman, the current Superstock 1000 champion. He's on a GP1 machine this year, 2nd in the championship, and he could do with getting as many points as possible. Oh, and there's a change now for second place. A nice move up the inside in Park Corner for Alex Heaton. My, he really is going some, and this is going to be a hot lap from Alex Heaton. So far lapping in the mid to late 132s, and that would be Superstock 1000 lap record pace shortly. I'll keep an eye on that lap time, and look at this, he really is charging towards the end of this race as they go down into the mountain now. Mike Dickinson, well, he hasn't got a lead anymore, really, has he? It's just a bike length between them. And in 3rd place there, Dan Neen trying all he can to stick with them. Look at these 3, they've completely broken away from Beggs and Barnes in the background. Pete Baker's still in the top 7. They now go into the hairpin through Barn Corner. Once more we pan back to Chris Barnes, who's sort of been left as a lonely runner now in 5th place, sorry. They exit Barn Corner and they see the last lap flag now. Across the start-finish line they go. And this has not been wrapped up yet for Mike Dickinson, the race leader, and that was indeed the fastest lap of the race from Alex Heaton, a 1:32.414. That's a new Superstock 1000 lap record for Thundersport GB. So fair play to Alex Heaton, really is on song here. And there's a charge coming now from Dan Neen as they tip into Park Corner. So Neen retakes second place. They're coming up to some traffic at Chris Curve, and they're now going to go into the gooseneck, and again Alex Heaton battles and slips up the inside in the gooseneck. That is big and brave. Down into Mansfield Corner they come now. The final lap of this GP1 race, and Dan Neen is hanging it out, trying to keep up with these 2 out front. Mike Dickinson's lead is not secure just yet. They go down into the mountain. Oh, is he going to have? He's going around the outside, which will give him the inside line. What a move from Alex Heaton as they go over the mountain. They're 3 abreast as they go into Hall Bends now. Mike Dickinson retakes the lead. Oh, and Dan Neen, he goes across the grass and he's out of this race now. That leaves just Dickinson and Heaton. Dan Neen, in an attempt to try and win, has gone on the grass, too slippery. But as they exit Barn Corner now, it is going to be Mike Dickinson that wins. Brilliant 25 points, an excellent second, the best result of the season for Alex Heaton, who wins the Superstock class. Craig Beggs comes home to take 3rd. Barnes 4th, 2nd in the Superstocks ahead of Baker and Blundell. What a race. There are the GP1 men, Dickinson, Beggs and Baker, the top three. And in the super stock class, a great ride for Alex Heaton ahead of Chris Barnes and John Blundell. Championship standings then, well, it's going to go down to the final round at Mallory Park. Peter Baker still leads ahead of Ian Mackman and Dickinson.
Winner of the Superstock Thousands, Alex Heaton. A mad race and a crazy last lap. Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, it was a brilliant race. I got a decent start. I managed to get, I think I was fourth for a lot of it. Managed to get past Craig Beggs. And when I got past Dan Neen, I thought I reeled Mike in quite quickly, but I had to conserve my tyres because they were going off quite quickly. On the last lap it was mental. Like, rode round outside of Neen there and got past Mike, but didn't have the drive, and then Neen fell off. It was mental.
And any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Alan and Charlotte Knight for all the help they do, Mum and Dad, WM Snells, QC Engineering and Design, Design Course, Holroyd, tyre warmers and all the rest.
Look at your leathers to find the rest. Well done, Alex. And winner of the Thundersport GP1s, Mike Dickinson. You're in that leading pack. It was a mad race. Can you tell us?
Yeah, fortunately for me, I was at the front, so I couldn't see what was going on behind me. I just put my head down, rode as hard as I could, tried to make a break the last couple of laps. But we caught a couple of slow guys towards the end of the race, and that gave Alex an opportunity to come round the outside of me. But I wasn't having any of that, so I made the move back. And I hear that Dan also tried to have a move, but he fell off. So, but yeah, a great win.
And any sponsors to thank?
Quite a few sponsors to thank, but I'd like to dedicate the race to a good friend of mine who passed a couple of days ago. I did say if I could win for him, I would win, and I dedicate this race to Jake's. But yeah, big thanks to Michelin Tyres, AO Joinery, all the boys are here today. All my family who's come out to support me today. Yeah, Chris Gunster Racing, who builds the engines, give me a good engine for today. So yeah, great. Thanks to everybody.
An excellent race. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Cracking stuff here at Cadwell Park, and we've got much more after the break with the RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes.
Moped, sports bikes, you save watts. Any bike, it makes no odds. We will give you what you need. Best price always guaranteed. Come to us and get a quote. You'll be singing note for note. Walk away with cash to spend on anything you want, my friend. Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer.
Get the cheapest bike insurance, guaranteed, only from the Bike Insurer.
Well, it's the penultimate round of the Thundersport GB Championships here at Cadwell Park, and the Morello Services GP1 Championship, as ever, just like it seems to every year, is going right down to the wire. Pole position, Dan Neen. You'll have seen him on a 600 also this weekend. Dan is out there on the Marks Bloom Suzuki. Mike Dickinson alongside him, the South African in second place, number 19 there on the AL Joinery Michelin BMW, and then it's Craig Beggs, number 80 on the Adam Boyle Racing, number 80, riding Adam's old bike and in Adam's old colours. The late Adam Boyle, who tragically lost his life just a month or so ago, so nice respect paid. And let's see if he can get on a podium and dedicate that to Adam. Around Charlie's they go, down Park Straight. Peter Baker, of course, is the championship leader, number 4. You'll see him on the Morello Services blue and white Suzuki. But Peter broke his collarbone back at Anglesey, so he's done well to get himself back out here. Meanwhile, a former champion Phil Crow, who is pretty quick around here and holds the lap record, is, well, he was back from injury at Snetterton here at Cadwell Park, but he re-injured himself. Oh, there's a crash at the top of the hill there. That looks like Bill Callister's gone down at the top of the gooseneck, but yes, Phil Crow crashed during, I think it was either warm-up or one of the qualifying sessions, having posted the fast time, and can't play any further part. He cannot win the championship, but it is going to go down to the wire, regardless of a result here between Baker, Mackman and Dickinson. The man on form, however, is Mike Dickinson in second place on the black and orange BMW, so keep an eye on him. Dan Neen, the race leader, of course, the British Championship rider. Plenty of, I say plenty of experience. He's still quite young. He's got plenty of life left in him when you compare him to some of the other riders on the grid, but he is and should be up at the sharp end, and is. As they exit barn, he leads from Mike Dickinson. Craig Beggs in third, and then it's Alex Heaton on the night road racing Ducati in fourth place. What a revelation he has been this weekend and the whole season. Former GP2 runner-up and moving on to the Ducati last season, and this year really has been going great, and especially here at Cadwell Park. That is a bog standard Ducati that he's on there, and he's keeping up with these guys. He's just ahead there on circuit of the championship leader Peter Baker, with, that looks like Chris Barnes, number 21, just tucked in behind in 6th place. Down into Mansfield we go, and Mike Dickinson has taken the lead whilst I was rabbiting on there. Dickinson, the South African, number 19, got off to a reasonably steady start in the championship, but the last 3 or 4 rounds has just been so consistent and stands a really good chance of winning the championship. There is number 3, Adrian Clark, out there on the Honda Fireblade. Keep an eye out also for Ian Mackman, number 30. There is Chris Barnes. Most of the super stock bikes out on circuit you should be able to spot because they have red backgrounds and the white numbers, whereas the GP1 machines just go for pretty much whatever they want, but it's supposed to be white backing with a black number, I believe. But you know, you can see there Peter Baker with the blue background and the number 4. He is on a GP1 machine. In terms of the Super Stock Championship, that is very close indeed. That's also going to go down to the wire between Ben Scranage, Alex Heaton, Chris Barnes still has a say, and who knows, John Blundell might even have a say at Mallory Park as to who wins that championship. But it's the main GP1 title that they all want, and Peter Baker here, well, I would imagine that having broken his collarbone, he will not want to get involved at the front here. He'll be sore, and it's just about picking up as many points as possible and limiting the damage that can be done by Mike Dickinson. Luckily for him though, Peter that is, Ian Mackman is behind him on circuit at the moment. Through Hall Bends they come. Mike Dickinson on the AL Joinery BMW with Michelin tyres. Craig Beggs there, number 80 from Crewe, doing a good job just behind number 15, Dan Neen. And up towards Park Corner they come. Mike Dickinson it is that just has the advantage over Dan Neen. Then it's Craig Beggs, there he is on Adam's old bike. Craig is, he was actually the Super Stock Championship, he's entered that a couple of times, and I believe he was in the Yamaha R6 Cup back in 2005 or 6. So he's had a bit of British Championship experience, the 29-year-old. Back at the front, former South African Superbike champion Mike Dickinson still leads from Dan Neen. Alex Heaton is really going well though. Rider from Sowerby Bridge on the night road racing Ducati, also sponsored by Holroyd tyre warmers. Just been going from strength to strength. It was interesting actually back at Snetterton, I think it was, during qualifying. He wasn't really all that confident as to finding his way around. It was either Snetterton or another round, and yeah, I think it was Snetterton. Mike Dickinson said, oh, I'll tell you what, you can tag onto the back of me. Well, since then, Alex Heaton has been up there fighting with Mike, so not sure he'll be getting much help anymore. Dan Neen in second place, trying to stay with Mike Dickinson as the pair of them look to break away from Craig Beggs and Alex Heaton. Peter Baker, meanwhile, catching Chris Barnes for 5th place, and Ian Mackman's inside the top 10, up in 7th place ahead of Adam Robinson and Adrian Clark. Ben Scranage currently 10th ahead of Blundell, Marty Lennon, Callum O'Shea, Dan Brady, Jimmy Nixon, Colin Thompson and James Armitage. Back at the front of this Morello Services GP1 race, we saw a classic championship last year that went down to the final race of the season in GP1, where Mick Robertson snatched it away from Phil Crowe and Ian Mackman and Peter Baker in the final round at Mallory last year. Will we have a similar story to tell at Mallory in a couple of weeks' time, because Mike Dickinson is certainly putting his name into the hat here. Plenty of endurance experience for Mike Dickinson as well, so he's been around Cadwell quite a number of times. So consistency certainly not a problem, and some good scrapping through Chris Curve there from Mike Dickinson, really showing his experience. And they now come down the hill and they're about to lap poor old Colin Thompson, who at the moment is unaware that as he approaches probably the mountain, that he's got 4 hungry GP1 riders coming up on him. Here is Colin, and there goes Mike nice and neatly up the inside into the mountain. Might not work out quite so well for Craig Beggs and Alex Heaton further behind. It worked out okay for Beggs, just not so well for Alex. Through Hall Bends and into the hairpin, and then just Barn corner to deal with. Peter Baker has got past Chris Barnes now. Baker on the more powerful Suzuki GSX-R, whereas Chris Barnes out there on the stock BMW. Across the line they go. Mike Dickinson is your race leader there, number 19, coming up to lap Dan Brady. Dan actually in 14th place. So just goes to show how quickly these guys are going at the front. A 32.3 from Dan Neen last time around. Alex Heaton, let's have a look. I think he's well under lap record place. He smashed the lap record by 2 seconds on that Superstock Ducati. Down the hill into Mansfield, it's a move now being put on by Dan Neen. We're coming to the sort of closing stages of this GP1 race. Now, Dan Neen doesn't feature in the championship. Mike Dickinson very much does. So Mike, you know, from first to second, he needs those 5 points. 25 points for first, 20 for second. And with Dan not featuring, he could do with taking the win. But Dan Neen looks in good shape here to win. Craig Beggs in 3rd place. Alex Heaton will put himself possibly in charge of the Superstock 1000 Championship with this result here. He's 4th on circuit, but 1st in the stock class. There's Baker in 5th. He'd be up for 11 points ahead of Barnes, who would take 2nd in the Superstock class. And then behind Barnes is Ian Mackman, Adam Robinson and Adrian Clark. Across the line now to see the last lap flag. And what does Mike Dickinson have left in the tank? He chases Dan Neen up through Coppice. The uphill left-hander around Charlie's, down the dip into the Park Straight, now into Park Corner. And I think Mike Dickinson, he'll just try and stay with him in case Dan makes a mistake, but I don't think Mike's going to have, he's not close enough to really make a move from here on in. There's Baker holding on to 5th place, but Barnes still all over the back of him, looking for as many points as possible. Out of the chicane they come. And this is last chance really for Mike Dickinson, and I think Mike might just set off the 2nd place here. It'll still be good for the championship because he's not losing out to any championship rivals. Dan Neen now, just through Hall Bends. It looks like Craig Beggs is going to get that AB Racing number 80 machine on the podium ahead of Alex Heaton, but Alex has had a super ride on the Night Road Racing Ducati, but it's going to be the Marks Bloom Suzuki of Neen that wins this one. Morello Services Suzuki, the championship leader Peter Baker. Well, can he hold on to his championship lead? Either way, it's going down to the final round at Mallory, but exiting Barn Corner, Dan Neen takes the victory here. 25 points for him, a solid 20 points for 2nd place man Mike Dickinson, and Craig Beggs does take 3rd on the Honda ahead of Alex Heaton that wins the super stock category. Peter Baker, championship leader, well, with a broken collarbone recovery, that's a pretty good effort from him in 5th. Chris Barnes 6th and 2nd overall in the super stocks. GP1 1, 2, 3 then Dan Neen, Mike Dickinson and Craig Beggs. And the super stocks, Alex Heaton the winner from Chris Barnes and Adam Robinson.
First position goes to Dan Neen in the Thundersport GP1s. You faced tough competition in that race.
Yeah, finally got an overall win today. You know, it was hard going. The boys were pushing me, but yeah, I had a few slides. I had a bit of a put-apart warning for that race. That's all I had, and yeah, but it held together, so it was good. The Marks Bloom Suzuki was brilliant. I'd just like to say thanks to Wiimoto as well. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And And moving on to the Superstock Thousands, another win for Alex Heaton. There was tough competition in that race.
Yeah, it were. I managed to get into fourth early on, but just the pace were really hot at the top. And so I passed him, I'd have had to have been pushing it. And now I've got the lead in a Superstock Championship. It wasn't really worth fighting with the GP1 lads.
And so you're all set for Mallory Park, looking good in the championship?
Yeah, just need a good steady round at Mallory and hopefully clinch the title.
Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank QC Engineering and Design, all the night road racing team, Mum and Dad, Louise, and everyone else.
Thanks Alex, well done.
Thank you.